Norway's remote Arctic railway is facing a big challenge. Following a series of unfortunate events with the line's most important rolling stock, many train services have been suspended for almost a year now with no end in sight. Join me for the over 700-kilometer long journey from Trondheim up to the Arctic gateway town of Bodø while we enjoy the views of the barren and remote landscape. I'll show you everything from the cozy dining car to the amazing first-class recliner seats, as we talk about the current unfortunate state of this railway line and its very uncertain future. Our journey begins from Trondheim Central Station, dating back to 1877. I've just arrived in here on the night train from Oslo, and with about 1 hour to go before the train up to Bodø departs, let's have a look around the station. The current station building is a modern addition from the 1990s. It's fairly small, but got all the expected amenities. There's a good amount of seating, a ticket office, and of course also ticket machines. If you're feeling hungry, there is also a fast food outlet as well as a convenience store. And more crucially, the building is kept warm during the sometimes brutal Norwegian winters. Access to the platforms is via the underpass. And down here you'll also find the station's luggage lockers. And if it wasn't already evident from when we entered the station, here on the platforms we can see the station is currently under heavy reconstruction. And that's because the station building I just showed you is set to be replaced by a brand new travel center spanning above the platforms later this year. In terms of train traffic, the station sees regular commuter rail service mostly operated with these Stadler Flirt units. And they are actually pretty cool because they are bi-mode, meaning they can switch from running on electric power using the overhead wire and continue onto unelectrified lines using the diesel power pack found in the middle of the train. In addition to this, you also have long distance day and night traffic to and from Oslo and freight trains carrying important goods up and down the country. In the distance we can also see our train being prepared, with our locomotive and also a shunter picking out the carriages going on today's service up to Bodø. Our train is scheduled to depart at 7:49 and around 10 minutes before departure time, the consist appears in the distance. Our train today features 5 passenger carriages, of which 3 are regular standard class carriages. There's also 1 cafe car and a premium plus first class carriage. Hauling our train is this DI4 locomotive, built by Henschel in 1980 and capable of 140 km an hour. Just 5 of these locomotives were built, and as you'll see later in the video, that's not quite enough for a 700-kilometer long railway line. And very unusual for summertime, we have a generator car attached to our train, which is normally reserved only for the most brutal winter days. Because of a major heat wave in Norway, service had been suspended, and this was actually the first northbound service to Bodø after a couple days of cancellations. And perhaps SJ Nor was right in being cautious, but we'll see about that later in the journey. Today I'm traveling in Premium Plus, which is an upgraded first class product with 30 large reclining seats in a spacious 1+2 layout. And I am very excited to be testing out this seat and seeing some of the great scenery along the route. We depart Trondheim at 07:53, just a couple minutes behind schedule. So let's take a closer look at the route we'll be following today up towards Bodø. We are catching the northbound day train Fjerntog 471, Leaving Trondheim, we'll head north, making up to 25 intermediate station stops on this 727 kilometer long odyssey that's scheduled to take 9 hours and 55 minutes to reach Bodø. This lands the train an average speed of 73 kilometers per hour. As we head out of Trondheim, the scenery immediately picks up. We even pass through the pleasant town of Hell, right before picking up some more passengers at Trondheim Airport and again at the nearby Stjørdal Station. Having had an early start this morning coming off the sleeper, I was really craving some caffeine to properly be able to enjoy this journey. One of the perks of traveling in Premium Plus is the complimentary self-service area. On offer is a selection of fresh fruit, water and tea that was kept nicely stocked up throughout the journey. And even some nice SJ Nord branded chocolate. But of course, what I really came here for was a fresh cup of coffee. We'll take a detailed look at the seat later in the video, but a table can be deployed from the armrest. Almost all of the Nordland Line is single-tracked, meaning our train often has to stop to let another train pass. This is especially true closer to Trondheim, where a rather frequent commuter service operates. But more crucially, the route is also a lifeline for supplies to and from Norway's far north, with frequent freight trains bringing supplies to and from this remote region. For instance, this intermodal train was carrying many climate-controlled carriages, which might have been used to bring up fresh produce for the supermarkets in the north, and now is returning south, perhaps with some freshly caught fish from the port in Bodø. We are now approaching Grong, which used to be an important junction station with the Nordland Line, that despite having its last regular freight train service in 2005, actually didn't officially close till 2021, when the legal proceedings finally went through the Norwegian government. It's a scorching hot day here in Norway, with temperatures above 30 degrees and almost not a cloud on the sky. But despite the high temperatures, we will still be able to see a bit of snow on today's journey. The high temperatures might have been a little too much for a well over 40-year-old locomotive. A bit of what seemed like white smoke appeared briefly outside the window, and suddenly the train became very quiet. Eventually, our train coasted to a stop in the middle of nowhere. Power to all non-essential systems was completely cut off, and there was no rumble from the engine to be heard anymore.
We have a stop here because we have some issues with the power from the engine. We're working on the problem and we will meet again soon.
It seems like SJ was right to make the call to include the generator car on today's service. After sitting still for about 15 minutes, we hear some good sounds. It seems like the engine is powering back on. And indeed, after sitting still for about 20 minutes, we begin to move again. We managed to make our way up to the next station, Namsskogan, running about 30 minutes behind schedule. The unreliability of these locomotives is the root of the many problems this line is currently facing. Only 5 Di4 locomotives were ever built. To run both the daily day and night train reliably, and have enough downtime for maintenance on these old trains, 4 locomotives are needed, meaning in theory 5 trains are plenty. But in October last year, everything went wrong at once. These locomotives have now run so many kilometers that each one must undergo a major mandatory overhaul, meaning one locomotive is always out of service to have this overhaul done, which can take multiple months. Another locomotive was also out of service due to preparation works to install ETCS signaling, leaving just 3 working locomotives to run all services, the absolute bare minimum, deferring anything but absolutely essential maintenance. Then, on October the 25th, 2024, disaster struck. One locomotive hit a rock and was completely destroyed, and the driver tragically lost his life. Since then, the night train has been cancelled, with only the day train continuing to run. A couple of months after the accident, one locomotive returned from maintenance, bringing the total back up to 3. But the 4th locomotive still has to be rotated out for mandatory overhaul. In theory, both the day and night train could run with just 2 locomotives if they turn straight around at the end of each trip, but given the locomotive's age and reliability issues, that's simply not practical. The night train therefore remains suspended currently indefinitely. The search for a solution is ongoing, and we'll talk more about that later in the video. But as lunchtime is coming up and I'm feeling hungry, let's visit the cafe car and check out standard class. While the large reclining seats here in Premium Plus are very nice, second class is also a great product. Featuring a 2+2 layout, which is rather spacious thanks to Norway's wide trains, and equipped with a comfortable seat with a good ergonomic design, it's a perfectly good option to make this trip. Further down we have the cafe car. A selection of cold, pre-packaged meals and sandwiches alongside drinks are on offer, with also some hot food options. I ordered the train's signature moose burger and found an empty seat in the dining car area. And while this did set me back 24 euros including the drink, it was actually really tasty, so I just sat back and enjoyed the meal, enjoying the scenery passing by, trying not to think too much about the price. We are now approaching Mosjøen station. This is the crew changeover point, so we have a slightly extended stop for the new crew to take over the train all the way up to Bodø. And as I finish up my meal, I think it's about time to head back to my seat and finally show you how great of a first class product this really is. And let me tell you, these seats are absolutely incredible. Featuring a huge headrest pillow that's very soft and comfortable. Combine this with the large and extremely well padded seat, makes it very comfortable to relax in. The seat can electronically be adjusted using the control panel in the right armrest. And this is what it looks like, fully reclined. And of course, there's also a power outlet at every seat, along with an adjustable reading light. The only real complaint I could have is the fairly small and flimsy tray table that wouldn't be very useful if you wanted to get any work on a laptop done. Overall, this is an incredible seat, and when I tell you what it costs towards the end of the video, I think you'll be surprised too. Our next stop is Mo i Rana, one of the largest towns in northern Norway, which is a title you can get with just about 18,000 people. From here on, we will head to the most remote part of this railway line, as we climb over Saltfjellet and across the Arctic Circle. But before we get there, we are meeting with the southbound day train from Bodø that's gonna make its way down to Trondheim to connect with tonight's sleeper to Oslo. And while we pass the southbound train, let's talk about the plans to restore service levels back to normal on the Nordland Line. And let's just say, they are not great. So not long after the tragic accident in October 2024, SJ Nord and the Norwegian transport authorities started a market dialogue to look for new trains. But since they wanted something as hyper-specific as newer diesel trains already equipped with expensive ETCS signaling, approved for use in Norway, safety features like emergency brake override, full compatibility with the carriage door system, and those locomotives to just be sitting around having no work, it's safe to say they didn't find the unicorn they were looking for. Since then, it has been a bit quiet from official sources about what's going on. But I did some digging in various Norwegian railway forums, and while I cannot stress this enough, it's all speculation. Based on some leaked documents and unverified sources, my understanding is there seems to be two options currently under evaluation. Either renting existing freight locomotives currently used on the Nordland Line that's already equipped with ETCS signaling, such as the Stadler Eurodual or the CD312s, and modifying them to work on passenger services. But the second and more funny option is to buy back the newer DI6 locomotives from Germany and fit them with ETCS. The ironic part is that the DI6 locomotives were originally meant to replace the DI4 locos running today, but because they were plagued with faults, they never really worked in Norway and was returned to Germany. But in both scenarios, it's gonna require an expensive investment, and it's likely gonna take probably till next year to get the modifications and certifications done. And even then, there is a worse third option, which is just to do nothing, as new Stadler Flirt trains have already been ordered and expected to arrive on the line in 2030. We are just about to cross the Arctic Circle and the highest point on the route, which the train is even kind enough to announce. And roughly here, we cross the Arctic Circle, where we can really start to appreciate just how much more barren and desolate the landscape has gotten since we left Trondheim many hours ago. But that also means we don't have that long to go before we'll arrive in Bodø. We make our way out of Saltfjellet and down to Rognan, where we will follow the fjords all the way to the coast where Bodø lies. We make a stop in Fauske, where many people get off the train to transfer to the bus to Narvik. Narvik is the terminus of Norway's northernmost railway line, the famous iron ore railway line. But it's actually only connected to the Swedish railway network, so if you wanna go there fully by train from Oslo, you have to head via Stockholm. As we turn for the home stretch to Bodø, we still have one important thing left to do before I tell you how much this incredible rail journey costs and my final thoughts. That's right, it's toilet review time. I will say this was kept nicely clean throughout the journey. It was well stocked with toilet paper and everything was fully functional. I also really appreciated being able to read about landmarks along SJ Nord's routes while I take a shit. So how much does this rail journey cost? Well, it's actually pretty reasonable. Fares vary based on demand and time of booking, but start from as little as 299 Norwegian kroner in standard class and 499 in premium plus. Both of which I actually think are rather reasonable for a 10-hour train journey in an expensive country like Norway. Overall, I am very happy to have made this rail journey. It was not only comfortable here in premium plus, the views were also incredible and the overall experience very enjoyable. It's really a great shame that the future for this line is so uncertain, and that the politicians who ultimately have to find and fund the emergency solution for this vital public service haven't really made it a priority. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you are subscribed to the channel as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Blue Sky at intercitysimon.com. I usually post live from my travels over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming on the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.